My name's Mark, and I just turned 30. You'd think after 3 decades on this earth, you'd be able to read people better. Especially someone you've lived with, someone you've shared a bed with, cooked dinner with, watched bad TV with on rainy nights. But nope, life still has a way of blindsiding you. I met Lila 4 years ago at a mutual friend's art show. She wore this ridiculous lime green coat, like she was daring the room to look away from her. I like that. She had bite too, called me out for pretending to understand abstract art when I was clearly just nodding at colors. That kind of honesty was rare. At least, it felt that way. Over time, I fell in love with her chaos. The unpredictability, the energy, the way she could walk into a dull party and light it up just by laughing too loudly. We moved in together after a year, got a little apartment just outside the city. It wasn't fancy, but it had a balcony, creaky floors, and enough room for her plants and my books. She called it our treehouse because it felt like a world suspended above everyone else's mess. But lately, that treehouse had started to rot. It started slow. First, she got distant. Nothing dramatic, just quieter. The kind of silence you don't notice until one day you realize your conversations have turned into logistics. Can you grab eggs? Your package came. I'll be late. I chalked it up to stress. She had taken a marketing job she didn't love, and I was working long hours at a startup that felt like it might fold any second. Life happens, right? You get tired. You forget to hold hands. You forget to ask how their day really was. But then came the lies. Not obvious ones. The slick kind. The ones you almost believe because you want to. Girls' night, turning into unanswered texts until 2 a.m., going to the gym, but coming back without a drop of sweat or even wearing different clothes. Receipts stuffed into the trash from bars we never went to. When I asked her, she'd flip it, say I was being paranoid, controlling, insecure. She'd laugh it off, call me dad, in that sarcastic way she knew made me bristle. Then she started planting little seeds in my head. You're not bored, are you? She'd ask, too casually. Or, do you ever wonder if this is it? I'd laugh, try to joke it away, but my chest would tighten every time. I was trying so hard to keep things normal. I'd cook her favorite meals, surprise her with little weekend trips, even clean the entire apartment top to bottom one weekend while she was visiting her cousin. She came home and barely noticed. The kicker came a few weeks before my birthday. I asked her if she wanted to do something low-key, maybe just us, a little dinner, or even just takeout and a movie. She smiled, that old spark flickering behind her eyes for the first time in weeks, and said, "Nope. You're not planning anything. This year, it's on me. Trust me, you're gonna get the surprise of your life." I laughed. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe she still cared enough to plan something. Maybe things weren't as broken as they felt. Maybe this was her way of making up for the distance. Except, something didn't sit right. The next few days, she was giddy. Like, weirdly so. She'd leave early in the mornings, come home late, always on her phone. She started packing little bags that she said were for a donation drop, but I never saw her actually take them anywhere. I asked about it once and she said I was being nosy. I let it go, because deep down, I already knew. I just didn't want to say it out loud. So I started planning something of my own. See, the lease for our apartment was up for renewal at the end of the month. I handled most of the paperwork, since she always claimed she was allergic to admin. Normally we'd sign together, but this time, I didn't bring it up. Instead, I called the landlord and told him we'd be vacating at the end of the lease. I paid the termination fee out of my own pocket. Quietly, carefully. Then I got a storage unit and started moving my stuff little by little. The books, my PC setup, old photos, even the rug in my office she never noticed I hated. Every time she was out with the girls, I was boxing up another piece of the life she clearly didn't want. The night before my birthday, she was buzzing around like she was about to win a game I didn't know we were playing. She barely looked at me, but when she did, it was with this smug little grin. "You ready for tomorrow?" she asked, running her fingers along my shoulder. "I hope so. It's gonna be big." I wanted to say something. Maybe ask her to stop playing whatever game this was. But instead, I nodded and went to bed early. She stayed up. I could hear her laughing on FaceTime with someone, the voice low and male. I didn't say a word. The next day, I worked from a cafe. Didn't want to be around for whatever her surprise was. Around noon, I got a text, "Be home at 6. Dress nice." No peeking. I almost laughed. I waited until 6:15. Then I walked up the stairs of the apartment building we'd called home for nearly 3 years and opened the door to silence. No streamers. No candles. No Lila. Just air. Emptiness. And on the table, where I thought maybe she'd left a gift or a card, there was just my phone buzzing. One message. You'll be fine. I'm in Miami with someone better. No joke. No explanation. Not even a name. Just that. I stood there, reading it 3 times like the words might change. Like maybe I'd misread it. But nope. She really did it. And the thing is, I didn't even get angry. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just smiled. Because while she was tanning on some stranger's yacht, thinking she'd just pulled the ultimate move, she had no idea the lease was gone. The apartment was empty. The utilities were cut off as of the next morning. I opened my email, found the draft I'd pre-written a week ago, and hit send. Subject line, lease termination, effective immediately. Attached, a confirmation notice from the landlord, the move-out inspection schedule, and a note that said, tenant has vacated the premises. I left the apartment, locking the door behind me, just as a neighbor walked past with a curious glance. I smiled, nodded, and took one last look at the treehouse that had rotted from the inside out. She still doesn't know it yet, but soon she will. I didn't go straight to my new place that night. I took a long walk instead, no destination in mind, just the rhythm of my steps and the hum of the city to keep me grounded. My phone buzzed a few more times. I didn't check it. I already knew it wouldn't be from her. Lila had made her choice, and for once, I wasn't going to chase after someone who ran at the first sign of effort. She wanted the thrill, the drama, the spotlight. I wanted peace. And after years of feeling like I was constantly auditioning just to be loved by her, I was finally done performing. Around 9 p.m., I walked into a little diner I used to go to back when I first moved to the city. Ordered a slice of pie and a coffee. It was nothing fancy, just a plate, a fork, and a moment to breathe. And it hit me right then. This was the best birthday I'd had in years. No forced laughter. No fake smiles. No guessing what version of Lila I'd come home to. Just me, alone but free, with the quiet kind of satisfaction that only comes when you know you took your power back. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of chaos, voicemails, missed calls, a few texts. All from Lila. At first, it was the usual smugness. Lila at 9 a.m. So, I'm guessing you're feeling stupid now. I didn't expect you to be so chill about it. Kinda cold to be honest. Don't worry, I'll get my stuff when I'm back. Shouldn't take more than an hour. But by noon, the tone had shifted. Lila voicemails at 12 p.m. Why is the Wi-Fi off? Did you forget to pay the rent? Mark, the power's out. Why won't the door key work? I could almost picture her in real time, coming back from her weekend stunt, rolling her luggage down the hallway in her Instagram perfect outfit, heels clicking on the linoleum floor, only to find the place dark, the locks changed, and her world suddenly off script. Then came the call. I let it go to voicemail. Mark, what is going on? I just got here and the landlord says the lease is terminated. Are you insane? You can't just do that without telling me. Where's my stuff? Did you touch my stuff? This better be a joke. Call me back right now or I swear. Click. I didn't call her back. Instead, I sent one text. Your things are in storage. Unit 4 8B. Paid through the end of the month. After that, they're your responsibility. 10 minutes later, she called again. Then again. Then her mom called me. I ignored them all. By 2 p.m., she had escalated to full nuclear. I listened to her voicemail. You had no right. You can't just erase me from our home like that. What kind of man does that without even having the decency to talk to me? You're so petty. No wonder you could never keep up with me. No wonder, huh? That phrase stuck with me. Because in her mind, I was always just barely good enough. Just barely interesting enough. Smart enough. Successful enough. Meanwhile, she spent 4 years dancing on the edge of commitment, always holding her options like playing cards she could drop at any moment. The rest of the week passed in waves. She showed up at my office once, made a scene in the lobby before security asked her to leave. She sent me an email with a long, passive-aggressive reflection on how I had emotionally abandoned her long before she booked a ticket to Miami. I didn't respond to that either. Because here's the thing. For a long time, I thought love was about endurance. About sticking through the mess, waiting for people to change, carrying the weight of someone else's chaos and calling it being there for them. But it's not. Love, real love, isn't supposed to feel like you're being tested every day to see if you'll still be picked. I was done waiting to be picked. A week later, I got a text from her best friend, Nadia. We'd always gotten along well enough, and she never really hid the fact that she thought Lila was reckless. She texted, "Hey, just wanted to say, That was savage. But deserved. She's been a nightmare since she got back. Told everyone you were obsessed and would never leave. Haha. I didn't reply, but I did smile. Then came the kicker. 2 weeks after the lease termination, Lila posted a story, her at some rooftop bar with that same smug smile, holding a cocktail with the caption, "Sometimes you gotta lose the good ones to realize you were the problem." No tag. No apology. Just that. But the comments? They weren't buying it. Wait, isn't this the girl who ditched her boyfriend on his birthday for a trip? She did what? Yikes. Girl, that's not the flex you think it is. That's when I knew the story was spreading. People were connecting dots. Friends of friends started reaching out, saying they'd heard what happened. One guy I hadn't spoken to since college texted me, "Bro, is that real? Tell me that's real." Oh, it was real. And I wasn't done yet. Because there was one more thing she didn't know, something I hadn't told anyone yet. Something that would hit her in the one place she still thought she had power. I waited exactly 1 month before dropping the final domino. The timing mattered, not out of spite, but out of strategy. Lila needed to believe she still had the last word. That she'd ditched me, jetted off to Miami with someone better, and come home to find me sulking in some sad corner of the city, licking my wounds. She needed that version of reality to make herself feel like the winner. And I let her have it for 30 days. In that time, I didn't post a single thing. No updates. No cryptic quotes. No stories of gym progress or new beginnings. Total radio silence. Let her imagination do the heavy lifting. Meanwhile, I was quietly building my next move. You see, one thing Lila never cared to ask me about was the side project I'd been pouring my late nights into. An app one co-founded with a friend from college. Back when we started dating, I mentioned it once, and she'd shrugged. "Tech stuff is so boring," she said. "Let me know when you invent something fun, like a teleportation app." She never asked about it again. Not even when I stayed up until 3 a.m. for beta testing. Not when I took unpaid weekends to fly to networking events. She assumed it was a hobby, another one of my mark things, as she liked to call them. But what she didn't know was that 6 days before my birthday, we finalized a seed round with a major VC firm. A deal worth $1.2 million. My co-founder and I signed the papers at a tiny ramen shop in Brooklyn. I took a photo of the moment. I almost sent it to her. But I waited. Now, a month later, the press release was ready. My name, front and center. Not just as a co-founder, but as the face of the product. Tech sites picked it up, local news ran a segment, and my inbox exploded overnight. I timed it to go live on the exact date our old lease officially ended. Symbolic, maybe, but it felt right. The next morning, I woke up to 37 new messages. Lila wasn't one of them, but her friends were. Nadia texted first, "Holy, this is you. She is losing it right now. I mean screaming. She just found out." Apparently, someone had tagged her in a congratulatory post about me. She clicked the link and saw the article. My photo, my name. The words, innovative, visionary, and multi-million-dollar deal floating just beneath a headshot she once made fun of because she said I looked too serious. I could only imagine the look on her face. At 10 a.m., I finally got the text I'd been waiting for. Lila texted, "Wow, so this is what you were really doing while pretending to be busy all the time. I guess congratulations are in order." I stared at the screen for a minute. No anger, no panic, just that familiar tone she always used when she realized she no longer held the upper hand. I typed a response. I replied, "Thanks. And yeah, I was busy building a life. One you clearly didn't want to be part of." She replied in under 30 seconds. "Don't act like I didn't support you. I just didn't know it was serious. I was stressed too, you know. I needed space. I didn't mean to hurt you." There it was. The slow backpedal. The revisionist history. She wanted to rewrite what happened. She wanted to paint herself as impulsive, not cruel. Lost, not manipulative. And maybe a year ago, I would have bought it. Maybe I'd have taken the bait, met for coffee, given her the chance to explain. But I wasn't that guy anymore. I didn't respond. Instead, I posted the ramen shop photo on my Instagram. No caption, just a simple smiling emoji. Within 10 minutes, she viewed my story. 15 minutes later, she blocked me. That night, Nadia sent me one more message. "Just so you know," she told her friends, "you were emotionally unavailable and that she had to leave to find herself. But now she's trying to spin it like you blindsided her by going silent." I almost laughed. Classic. But then Nadia added one more thing. Also, her Miami guy? He bailed 2 days after she got there. Said she was too intense and left her with the hotel bill. She maxed out 2 cards getting back. I only know because she tried to get me to Venmo her just a little something to float until payday. I leaned back in my chair and looked out over the city. Somewhere out there, Lila was spinning stories, trying to control the narrative, still playing the same old game. But I wasn't in it anymore. My life wasn't a game she could win or lose. It was mine. And the best part? I didn't need revenge. Not really. Because the silence, the success, the fact that I never raised my voice or begged her to stay, that's what would haunt her. That's what would echo in every room she walked into, in every conversation where someone said, "Wait, wasn't he your ex?" I didn't burn the bridge. I just walked away from it while it crumbled behind me. It's funny how people always assume revenge has to be loud, that it needs to be some dramatic scene, glass breaking, voices raised, doors slammed. But in my experience, the most effective revenge is quiet. No fire, no fury, just calm, calculated closure. You don't yell. You don't argue. You just remove yourself and let the silence do all the talking. After that final text from Lila, the one where she tried to paint herself as the victim, talking about how she needed space, I didn't respond. I didn't block her either. I wanted her to see the life she walked out on continue to unfold without her. I wanted her to scroll through her feed, see the smiles, the wins, the small joys, and realize she wasn't part of the picture anymore. Not because I pushed her out, but because she handed over her place with both hands, chasing whatever she thought would feel better than stability, love, and loyalty. In the weeks that followed, things moved fast. Our app launched. The VC money gave us a solid runway to hire a full-time dev team and expand the product in a way we never could before. My name started popping up in niche tech articles, newsletters, even a couple podcasts. My LinkedIn blew up. Every morning, I'd sip my coffee while reading connection requests from people who used to roll their eyes when I talked about my little startup idea. It wasn't just external validation, it was internal. For years, I had doubted myself. Wondered if I was too safe, too boring, too careful. Those were words Lila liked to use when she was frustrated. She wanted adventure, risk, the thrill of newness. I wanted peace. Turns out, peace is a lot more valuable when you're the one who has to rebuild everything from scratch. Nadia and I kept in touch. It started with casual messages. She'd forward me a meme, or I'd send her a song I heard on Spotify that reminded me of the weird jazz bar we all used to go to. One night, we got drinks. No pressure, no weirdness. Just two people laughing about how messy the past had been and how absurd it was that we had ended up on the same side of it. At one point that night, she leaned in and said, "You know, she never thought you'd make it, right? She used to say you were too scared to bet on yourself, that you'd just keep floating in the safe lane forever." I smiled. Then it's a good thing I stopped listening. The thing is, I wasn't bitter. Not anymore. I didn't hate Lila. I didn't wish her pain or failure. I just didn't care anymore, and that was the real win. Because when you truly move on, they don't get to live rent-free in your head. You don't daydream about confrontations or comebacks. You just live. But that doesn't mean the universe doesn't have a wicked sense of timing. About 2 months after the birthday fiasco, I was invited to a private networking dinner hosted by one of our angel investors. It was in this sleek downtown loft with floor-to-ceiling windows, champagne flowing, string quartet in the corner, all that startup meets old money type of vibe. I felt out of place for about 5 minutes until one of the investors pulled me into a conversation and introduced me as one of the most promising founders in our portfolio. I was mid-sentence, explaining our product roadmap to a guy from some VC fund, when I caught a glimpse of someone across the room. My heart didn't drop. My stomach didn't clench. I didn't freeze. I just blinked. It was Lila. She looked different. Still beautiful in that effortless, chaotic way, but there was a tension in her smile I hadn't seen before. Like she was holding her breath behind her lipstick. Her eyes scanned the room, laughing too quickly at jokes, adjusting her dress every few seconds like she wasn't sure it fit her anymore. We didn't make eye contact. Not at first. But eventually, she saw me. There was this flicker of recognition. Her posture stiffened. She looked at the guy she was talking to, then back at me. I gave her a small nod. Nothing more. Then I turned back to my conversation like she was just another face in a very expensive room. 10 minutes later, she walked over. "Mark," she said, her voice soft, unsure. I turned. "Lila." She hesitated. "I didn't know you'd be here." "I was invited," I said casually. Our firm just closed another round. Right, she said, looking around. I read about it. Congrats. Thanks. There was a pause. She looked down at her wine glass, then back up at me. You look good, she said, like she was surprised. So do you, I said. It wasn't a lie, but I didn't say it like it mattered. She waited, like maybe I'd ask how she'd been, like I'd offer her some opening to explain, or reminisce, or pretend we still had something in common. But I didn't. Instead, I asked, how's Miami? She flinched just slightly. Didn't work out. I nodded. Figured. Another long pause. Then she said, you know, I didn't think you'd actually move out. I thought you'd beg me to come back. I laughed, quiet, but real. Yeah, I figured you did. Why didn't you? She asked. It wasn't accusatory. It was confused. Like someone asking why the sun didn't rise that morning. I shrugged. Because I finally realized I didn't have to prove anything. You left. That was the answer. She looked at me for a long time, like she was trying to find some crack in my calm. Some sign that I was still hurt, still waiting for closure. But there was nothing, because I had already given it to myself. Well, she said, adjusting her bag, I hope you're happy. I am. And I meant it. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say more, but thought better of it. She gave me a half-hearted smile and turned away. As she walked off, I felt nothing but relief. No anger. No pride. Just clarity. Later that night, as the dinner wound down, I found myself on the balcony with a glass of whiskey, the city lights blinking below me. Nadia joined me, leaned on the railing beside me. I saw her talking to you, she said. Yeah, I said, sipping my drink. She said she hopes I'm happy. Are you? I turned to look at her. Yeah, I really am. She smiled. Good. Because you deserve to be. We stood there in silence for a while, the hum of the party behind us, the night stretching ahead. And in that moment, I knew something I hadn't been sure of in years. I didn't just survive what she did to me. I grew because of it. And sometimes, that's the best revenge of all, not making them regret losing you, but becoming someone who never needed them in the first place.